Hey everyone, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to talk about classification. And so I am starting with this beautiful picture of a very unorganized silverware drawer. If this makes you cringe a little bit, which it does me at least, it's not surprising because we are all organized and we like to live in organized environments. And so systematics helps us to understand evolutionary relationships between organisms. So who are the ancestors of different species? And then taxonomy helps us to group those organisms together. And so we are organized and we like organization. So the largest level of organization and classification is called the domain. There are 3 different domains that we discuss. There's domain Eukarya, which contains all organisms that have cells with nuclei. There's domain Bacteria, which contains all of the bacteria. And then there's domain Archaea, which contain a different form of bacteria called Archaeobacteria. Both Archaea and Bacteria are also known as prokaryotes. A prokaryote is an organism that is pre-nucleus. So prokaryote there shouldn't be 2 E's, I'm sorry. O-T-E is pre-nucleus. And both bacteria and Archaea fit into the larger grouping of prokaryote, whereas Eukarya are all organisms that have a nucleus, a true nucleus. So domains Archaea and Bacteria belong to your prokaryotic cells, and domain Eukarya belongs to the eukaryotic cells. In both cases, we have DNA, but the DNA that we have in the eukaryotes is found in the nucleus, and prokaryotes is found in a region of the plasma, of the cytoplasma, called the nucleoid. So let's look at each of these domains a little closer. Archaea are your bacteria that live in extreme environments, typically. That doesn't mean all Archaeans live in extreme environments, but in general, when you think Archaea, think extremists, okay? So they may live in environments that are super hot, hydrothermal vents, very acidic, volcanoes, polar ice caps, but they also may live in areas that aren't as extreme. So there are Archaeans that can live within organisms like eukaryotes, just like some bacteria do that. So bacteria can live in all environments. So some bacteria are called extremists, but many bacteria live in very comfortable environments, including on humans, in humans. So actually humans are made up of more bacterial cells than they are human cells. And bacteria are able to cause some very, very important diseases. Archaea cause no diseases that we know of at this time. And then we have our eukaryotes. So eukaryotes all fall under the domain Eukarya. And eukaryotes are then further divided into 4 kingdoms. So kingdom Animalia is where humans fall. So we're considered animals. Kingdom Plantae for plants, fungi for fungi like your mushrooms. And then we have kingdom Protista, which is split into multiple supergroups. This figure shows you some different organisms found within each of those kingdoms. So when we look at the classification, then we start at the most inclusive. So this is going to contain most organisms. And we end at the least inclusive. So this is going to contain few organisms. So the domain contains all organisms that are eukaryotic. Kingdom is going to be one of those 4 kingdoms we talked about. And then from there, we split organisms up into a phylum, class, order, family, genus, and then, of course, that species. The work that systematics does for the biology profession allows us to understand organisms more effectively. We can specialize in certain areas within certain organisms, and then we can learn more about those organisms. Sometimes the research performed actually changes the classification system. So classification is not a static organization. It is very dynamic. It's constantly changing. It's specifically within the group Protozoan. So this is the classification of humans. I'll let you read through this on your own. Again, Eukarya, this is the most inclusive. All living eukaryotic cells fall under this domain. Homo sapien, this is the least inclusive. Only humans fall under Homo sapien. Once you are classified into the proper group, then you are given a name, and that name includes both the genus and the species name together, and that is termed your scientific name. Scientific names are Latinized, so these are Latin terms, and they are always written with the genus name capitalized and then the species name lowercase. If you have already written the name once, then you can just use the first letter and then put the last name. The other thing about this is you're either going to italicize the term or you're going to have to underline it. So I can't write in italics, therefore I underline. So this is human. This is cat, and I have to look up this one. I apologize. I don't know that one off the top of my head. But that's how we name every organism. I'm going to actually stop here and we'll talk about the scientific method in our next video. Bye.